Hi folks, how you doing? So unfortunately I forgot to press the record button at the beginning of this session, so I think the first half hour or so of this wasn't actually recorded. You didn't miss much in terms of action. All that happened was we recapped what happened on the previous session. The party were at the Nightcross harbour and had to leave the city. I described how the city was surrounded by a massive sort of shanty town, all these ramshackle buildings, outside the sort of central city section, which had a wall around it. And further out from there were all these encampments from bandits and mercenary companies and such. And this is where they camped outside the city rather than staying in the city where they were more likely to be robbed or have their things stolen or be murdered while they were sleeping. So the players had to make their way out of the city somehow and then past all these bandit camps. It's like an obstacle course of enemies, basically. And they decided to have Drakan, however you want to pronounce that, follow a coastal path to try and avoid most of these bandits. That roll went disastrously. And following that, they ran into 5 bandits who were like robbing these fishermen, and they'd killed one of the fishermen when the party happened upon them. There was a little back and forth, confrontation. I think s6e was attempting to kind of talk his way out of it, but they were hell-bent on robbing these guys and robbing the party. So fight breaks out. Razaluro, our Minotaur, charges 4 of the 5 bandits, gores 3 of them and tramples another one because this is exactly what he's built to do. And the s6e approached the bandit leader and simply disarmed him with his martial arts skills. And that's pretty much where we pick up. So didn't miss much, but I just thought I'd fill that in. Sorry about the misrecording, and I'll try and make sure it doesn't happen again in the future.
However, I've got heightened sense hearing, so can I try and hear if they approach closer while we were blinded and just strike
I
out?
could whisper to her as they're saying it's like turn away.
Could we get a roll for the flashbang? And if it goes wrong, then we know it's something's happened to Jam.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Perfect way to do it.
I just realised right now I never pressed record.
Do we need to start over?
It's fine.
We're starting now. So flashbang.
Yep, flashbang.
So would this be treated as like a magic spell or as a?
Well, if it's an object and it's already pre-prepared, I don't think it's a magic spell.
Okay, so it'll be treated as a.
It'll just be a regular action, and it's just items just allowing you to do it.
Yep. So it's probably clever because it's trying to be smart.
Yep,
What's
that
a
sounds right.
flashbang?
It's a failure. It's a 6. This is gonna go wrong.
Yeah, you pull out the bag, you throw it up, and maybe it's just it activates just a little too soon, and the both of you are also blinded as it goes off. One of the guys who's like behind the other 2, it doesn't really affect him as much, and he is able to close the distance. And s6e is, you're just seeing like stars and brightness, and you just feel a pair of hands like grab you by the shoulder and yank you off of the guy.
Yeah.
And then you can feel.
Because the grade war time.
You can feel like.
Probably that's why.
And then you just feel like metal pressed up the point of it against your throat. The rest of you can see s6e being grabbed by this guy, the dagger or the sword held up against his throat, and this guy who's now in a panic because he is outnumbered. All right, everyone, stop what you're doing. I've got your pretty boy now, and I'm going to leave here with him. And none of you are going to come after me, all right? That's what I thought. And he starts like edging away with you, one arm around you and the blade against your throat. Jam, sorry, Jam, I want to go.
I'm gonna try a dumb thing. So Jam turns to face him and closes her eyes, and then takes a combat stance and just says, not another step.
So try to bluff him.
She has heightened hearing, but this is just a bluff.
Okay, yeah, but you're trying to do it like blind fighting still. That sounds like a clever roll.
I don't have anything in that.
Yeah, you declare, and he sees you in the stance. You're close enough. You could do something to him, and you do hear, because he's on sand, so you can hear the crunch of the sand beneath his feet as he's moving away from you. So you've got a pretty good idea where he is and maybe how far away he is from you. But I mean, you're still blind. You don't know exactly, how he's standing and whatnot.
She just comments, I can hear you breathing.
Stay away from me, you elvish creature. Or I'll cut your friend's throat right where we stand.
Can I try and roll for wait for opportunity
Sure.
as my ability?
Yes.
I suppose I'm somewhere close there as well, and scrawny little boy not being in a fight, he probably hasn't even noticed me.
He won't be paying any attention though. So what is it you want to do?
Oh, I have that ability. Wait for the opening. I spend the combat round observing the enemy movements, and
Yeah,
in
but
the next round.
I'm just asking what it is, like what's the action that you're actually doing?
Oh, I thought this ability works as the DM tells me what would be the opportunity so I can react to it. So at the
sure.
moment I'm just observing his movement.
He's paused, and he's nervous, and he's alone, and he's on the sand here, and he's facing towards Jam, and totally preoccupied with that because he thinks she has some ability that she knows exactly where it is, and she's coming for him. So he's completely distracted, and you're able to like get around him and have the flank or the rear of him, and he just doesn't know you're there.
Sure, since I'm trained in Kung Fu and Aikido, and I can use my fists as a weapon, I will aim for a acupuncture strike of paralyzing him, like a kidney strike in boxing. Just punching out of the air of his chest or something like that. So naturally he drops the weapon.
Are you walking up behind him, tapping him on his shoulder, and when he turns around, just like punching him in the chest?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a 9, right? You are magical, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, you just take one step behind him and just tap him gently on the shoulder, or perhaps say "excuse me" or something like that. He turns around, and just as the split second he does, you just open palm, hit him right in the middle of the chest, and his heart just like explodes inside his chest with the force, and he like coughs and spits blood over your face. Lets go of Shiki, drops his sword, and just falls to the ground, one hand in the middle of his chest as he tries to breathe. And there's just this horrible gurgling, gasping sound as he looks up to you, wide-eyed, and dies. Falls face flat in the sand. The other two that are blinded, they're blinking their eyes furiously and rolling about in the sand, and they get to their feet and start stumble and try to run off into the woods.
Jam opens her eyes. It's like, thank God. Is she alright?
Oh yes, I am fine. I'm fine, my Lady Jam.
I imagine he's just thinking to himself, God damn it, I'm a mess.
No, he's thinking about his roles, but at the same time he's like looking at Fee. And it's like, that was very impressive, like martial arts skills.
What did
I'm
you
glad
do?
you,
He doesn't say it aloud, he's just thinking it.
well, I punch him.
And you punch the guy to death with a single punch to the chest. Like, that's impressive skills.
Yes, but like Jam doesn't really get how that happened.
Well, the guy is not really a strong one.
So is he just knocked out, or is he actually dead?
Well, V just turns around and gives respect to the fallen enemy. He bows to him, and then he starts looking if his boots or his sword might be used.
Oh yeah, you hold like your foot up against the guy's boots. He is clearly a larger size of boots than you. His sword, however, is perfectly fine to use.
Yeah, then I'll use his sword, take the sheets, and return to the fisherman, helping him to stand up on his feet and kindly ask him what would be the quickest and easiest way to escape the Nightcross.
For you, son, I'll take you on my boat myself. We can sail along the coast and get out of here.
Would that be the safest and easiest?
It'll certainly avoid any more bandits on the road.
How could we even repay you for your kind deed?
You've already repaid it. I owe you my life.
I bow
Thank
to
you
him
for your
and
generous
thank
offer.
him.
While this is happening, Raz is just gonna get up behind the other two guys who are disoriented with the guy who he wrapped up over his shoulder.
Yeah, so Drac wanted to kill them off, so he can. The two of you combined can certainly kill them off.
Well, yeah, if they van, yeah, if they're still there, then I'll
Yeah,
let him do
they're
whatever.
like blinded and stumbling around, trying to go in the rough direction to safety.
Okay, so if he gets to them before they hit the trees, then I'll just let him do whatever he wants to do.
I wonder what we should do with you. Are they bigger than the one I already caught?
Bigger in size? No, they're all the same kind of size. They're not very big guys.
Oh. I guess I'll just hit them both in the back of the head and knock them out.
Okay, so you've got one over your shoulder that you caught with Tomboas, and then you come across these two, just stretch out your arms in either direction and bop them on the head.
Yeah.
Sure, they go out cold. They probably won't survive that concussion.
I'll just pick them both up and just toss them over my shoulder with the other guy.
Who's fully conscious. I didn't mean nothing by it. Please let me go, Mr. Minotaur, sir.
Do you have treasure?
I do have treasure, yes. I can pay you if you let me go.
All right, give me all your treasure.
He frantically fumbles around for the small purse of coin he has. And when if you pour it into your large palm, you can see it's a few gold coins and several silver and copper pieces of jewelry.
This isn't treasure. I just toss them on the ground. I can't eat these.
Well, but you're familiar with the currency, right? You can exchange them for goods.
Alright, I'll just toss them up into a tree and then unwrap my bolus and just toss them into a tree and walk away.
He's getting smacked into a tree. Grantukas came out from wherever he was hiding. He's busily scooping up the trinkets you threw on the ground.
Oh.
Loki kind of peers out from behind the overturned fishing boat he was hiding behind. Is it over? Are we safe?
Where have you been? Did you find anything good?
Who's that to? Grantuk?
Yeah.
What? No, I didn't find anything, Raz. I was just waiting for an opportunity to strike. But you had it handled.
Of course. Even if there were twice as many bandits, I would have slaughtered them all.
He kind of mumbles to himself. He's like, yeah, unfortunately. But yes, having dispatched the bandits on the road out of the Nightcross, this fisherman offers to take you in his rowboat, his fishing boat, a ways along the coastline to clear the rest of the bandit camps.
Can I still
got in the
sneakily
boat.
kill?
Sorry?
Can I still sneakily kill the guy that Vaz let live?
The one he threw against the tree? Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want no witnesses. I
That
want them all
guy
dead.
slams against the tree and he's like, oh! And then he's like, realizes he's free and quickly gets to his feet and tries to run away.
Yeah, I'm just gonna kill him before he gets too far.
Yeah, he goes to run past the tree and you just stretch an arm out and just like stab him in the throat.
No witnesses that we were here. That was my goal.
You know, there's the guy on the boat.
What, the guy, the fisher boat guy, or the guy
Yeah.
who gave us a ride here?
The friendly guy.
Well, we haven't left him yet, so we're in his boat. Nothing I
still
can do
has
about
time.
that. Like, there's too many people around, so I can't do anything at the present moment. Not that I would probably kill him because he's a good person, but we'll see when the time comes.
Okay. You still have my bags.
Your bags, my lord.
Yes, I've got some blood on my, and just seeing the massive gash in my clothes, cuts in my travel wear.
Oh, but I thought you wished to travel light, sire. I left your other bags on the ship.
We were traveling light, but we still had the main bag with the change of clothes.
I'm afraid, sire, I've lost it.
I hear a goblin like whistling in the background.
Yeah.
Well, I guess these will have to do till we get to somewhere. Ugh. I'll try and wash the blood off.
Yeah, Nuki will like try and get the stains out for you right now.
Yes. Okay, you can try and clean the blood off it. It's not going to deal with the cuts. It does make it a little more breezy.
Okay, so I mean it'd be cramped on this guy's little boat, but especially with the Minotaur. But if you position yourselves properly, you can even out the weight distribution and kind of squeeze on there.
As soon as we get on the boat, you just start hearing the sounds of chewing. The Minotaur found the fisherman's basket full of fish.
Well, he's not going to take a basket full of fish on the boat with all you guys if you're all squeezing on there. But you could have picked up one, yeah.
Yeah, I would have picked it up on the dock.
Sure. You're going to travel for half an hour, 40 minutes or so up the coast. Just long enough to kind of clear any of the encampments and stray bandits that might be waiting on the path for travellers going by. And you pull into like a little shore cove beach that's kind of gravelly. And you get in, to this like ankle deep water. And he signals that this is as far as he can take you, but you should be clear of any immediate danger from here on.
I think that we should be looking out for.
You asking him what you should be looking at?
Any kind of dangers.
And the Nightcross, it's full of dangers. There's all kinds of wild animals living out in the wildlands. And They
And
might
if we're
not,
lucky,
if you stay away
can I
from
use my
the
life in danger?
if you stay
Oh,
away
sorry.
from the main roads, you should be able to steer clear of most of the bandits.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Can I use my life of danger to say what the most dangerous thing in this area is?
Sure.
And if we're lucky, we might even run into the giant crocodile that lives here. Big enough to eat a full-grown minotaur whole.
Yeah, the infamous giant saltwater crocodiles.
Yep.
Yeah, if we're lucky.
But yeah, you just find yourself in an area. It's kind of like open grasslands beyond the shore, so you got quite good visibility. You can see the tinges of the corruption here. Like the grass looks a little kind of like weathered, despite how wet it's been. And it's like dried out and dying, kind of looking. But there's plenty of it. You got like fields in front of you. Beyond that, you can see like the tree line into the heavier forests and hills and small mountain peaks in the distance. Somewhere off to the east, there's a lake that leads right into the ocean, which is fed by the River Gota. Or you can go south across the land. But you've got a long journey still ahead of you still.
I'm gonna pull the fisherman aside after we start walking away from him.
Sure, the rest of them get off the boat and they're all, getting themselves set up. And he's just like starting to push the boat back out and you approach him.
I'm gonna give him 5 gold coins and tell him he never saw us. He was never waylaid by bandits. No one saved him. This moment never happened.
Of course, sir. I would never dream of doing such a thing. And thank you for your generosity.
Well, it was that or kill you.
Yeah, I mean, there's no mistaking. Like he knows you mean that.
I'm just gonna leave him at
And
that
he,
point.
you can hear the swish, 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 swish as he hurriedly pushes the boat out into the ocean.
Trying to be a better person.
Orbitan!
Can't just kill everybody.
Get your gun.
Yeah.
When you're helping guiding us at our next port, our next place of call.
Well, if he put us off by the lake, we just keep following the river south. We'll come across the town.
So Draco, you're going to continue to guide them.
Yeah. I'm heading towards a Manfada or something like that.
Manfad,
It's like
yeah.
a little. Yeah, that's what I'm headed towards. Just following the
Yeah,
river
yeah.
though.
Okay, so you're still going like coastal wise towards the lake and then down the river. You want to follow the water.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Give me a roll. I guess clever because you're drawing on your traveler skills.
I don't know if I got anything clever. Let me see. Clever. Nope. +0. All right. So just 2d6. 9.
Hey, that's not bad. How far we get here? Choose one. Can you roll a d6 for me? Danger.
6.
Always a good one.
Oh.
Yes.
We got those giant saltwater crocodiles in the area.
Yeah, so as you are travelling along, the ground becomes more obviously corrupted. You can see the trees become misshapen. Some of them are swelled to a much larger size, kind of overgrown, almost like vines. Other ones are like skinny and rake and look as if they've been like sucked. The life sucks out of them. They're dying. The foliage is changed to hues of violet and scarlet rather than green. And the ground becomes kind of like hard and like ash in certain areas. Yeah, your feet and the bottom of your legs are all covered in this gravelly ash that's been kicked up as you're travelling along. You've come across almost like a saltwater, swampy kind of marshland. And it stretches out in front of you, and there's not a lot of trees and features on the marsh itself. But there's lots of sort of like awkward looking logs and rocks and lumps in this marshland in front of you. And the bog itself stretches as far as I can see. If you're going to go around it, you're going to add a lot of time to your journey. Or you can just kind of trundle through it. It doesn't seem too deep immediately, and there are patches of sort of dry land and rocks you can kind of hop between to make your way across it. But who's going first?
I immediately vote to go around it.
There's some sort of dark sorcery here. Vile human magics.
Yeah, I don't think that's human.
Yeah, this is clearly not human magics. This is dark magics.
Jam's infection, shall we say, the slight sort of burning look to the edges of the flakes of bark on her skin glows brighter, and Jam, you're in a bit more pain than you usually are with this. It's as if it's causing something to flare up within you.
I think she pulls the cloak over her to make sure it's covered, and then hurries after them and says, the Feywilds where the portals to the demonic realm opened, I think they look like this.
Yep, I'm still voting to go around.
So, what do you think, Jam, is the connection between these and Fae?
I think it's demonic. I think they're corrupting your world like they are ours.
Yes, for the last 2 years, I've been hearing all those stories about demonic army, about the invasion, about the corruption. But I still don't understand what is happening. What do people mean by the invasion? What do people mean by the corruption, demons? I'm unaware, uneducated about the subject, unfortunately.
A few months ago, a demonic army was released into the plains. They're currently marching through the continent as we speak. She was
Like
saying
those, big creatures that wiped out the scarabs. We had passed through there a few weeks ago.
Oh, those were the demons.
Huh. I knew I should have fought them.
If you
And
fought the
they
army
are
on your
here
own, you
to-
probably would have died from it.
And they are here to destroy?
That's all
Conquer.
demons ever want.
Destruction.
Is
That's
that
all I care about.
what are you here for? Are you here to stop the demons?
Don't be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous.
No small band of people could stop that horde.
I like the idea
Take
that
armies.
Shiki nearly said heroes and stopped himself.
Yeah.
I mean, Razaluro is a lot of things, but he's not a hero. Not a hero.
Drax
Well-
just looking across the large open marshland in front of you and just thinking, God, I really don't want to step into that.
I really don't. I really don't.
Half
So
of
for the
Shiki
third
wants
time.
to go round it. The other half wants to go through.
Yeah, so for the third time, let's head around, yeah?
Damn, waste no time in following after Jack.
We'll follow your lead, Lotrakan.
Okay, so you're going to
What's it gonna be?
avoid marshland?
The best I can, yeah.
Okay, so you just go south to work your way around the marshland. You just go and continue on for several miles, and the sun is setting and it's beginning to get dark as you start to see the beginnings of the tree line, where the ground gets more solid and opens up. Well, it doesn't open up, but it becomes a big, massive, deep, dark forest in front of you. But much to Jam's horror, this forest is not like a normal forest. It has been thoroughly corrupted. There's all kinds of like glowing lights emitting from the ground. Large cracks have opened up, and this almost fluorescent substance is kind of bubbling below the surface. The trees are twisted and curled and coiled like tentacles and sharp thorn vines. There's no sound of birds tweetering in the background, only the chirping of insects in the night. And to Jam at least, the place absolutely reeks of demonic energy.
Does this only get worse the further we go?
God, I hope not.
It wasn't this bad last time.
I don't even know why it's here and not closer to the pit.
What do you mean? The pit's been open for years.
Yeah, but there was almost no corruption like this that way. But now there's forests like this, as we heading away from it. You would think it would. The closer you get to it, the worse it would get.
So it's thinning faster than you predicted. And was this only on this continent?
Repeat that question.
Was this only on this continent? We didn't see any in the north.
The North had its own corruption.
Nowhere near this level.
Yes and no. It was different. Not where we were at, obviously, because we didn't see anything, but the different places up there.
It is getting dark now, so do you want to step into this not pleasant looking forest at night, or do you want to make camp here before you go any further?
I'm not going in there at night. If I was solo, I would go in there at night. I'm not going in there at night now.
I'm just gonna start setting up a camp while they're
Yeah,
deciding what to do.
I'll help him set up a camp because that is my decision as well.
Yeah.
I'll help as well.
So,
Right, Raz, since
Oh,
you
God, you're
began
right.
it, do you want to roll 2d6 for me? Yeah, you begin to gather the fuel you need for the fire. You dig out a spot to build the fire in, create a fire pit, and take whatever supplies you've got, I guess, to make a makeshift camp on the edge of this deep dark forest. Occasionally you hear something moving in the darkness of the undergrowth in the trees, but nothing makes itself known.
Brintook, the fire's ready. Begin preparing dinner.
Ah, yes. I'm going to prepare a special pomegranate soup.
Okay, we should prepare our own food.
I'll eat the pomegranate soup.
Grintook is an excellent chef.
Oh,
That's why he survived this long.
I'll make our friends something a little different and keep the pomegranate for you, Raz, as you're the most deserving of its properties.
Of course. Just nod sagely.
He is probably
I do warn you, my
smirking
good-
himself.
Yes, I can make something.
I warn you, my good friend Raz, that keeping such company may not be good for your long-term health.
Yes, I have been eating quite a bit more in the last few decades, ever since I found Grintook.
Grantuk throws a dirty look towards Shiki. Just make sure to spit in the human stew that he's making.
Is it called
now
human
can't
stew because
prepare
they
my
use the definitely not human meat?
But all he'll say is he's making a very protein-rich, nutritious meal for them.
Yeah, I'll prepare. Me and Naoki prepare my own food. I have a delicate stomach.
I've eaten worse.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone that like pays attention to Grintook as he's making it, you can see him just occasionally like stamping on something on the ground, picking it up and throwing it into the stew.
I don't think many people are going to be eating Gintook's.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't care. He just like throws out a bowl of it for you guys to help yourself to. He's intently focused on getting the proportions right for the pomegranate soup.
I will wait for everybody else to eat to see is it safe. And although I'm starving, I've been malnutrition, but I will wait a little bit to see how the others react.
I
Yeah.
think we're all quite eating our own rations instead, right?
If you've got rations, you can mark one off, yeah. Otherwise, you're going to have to eat Grantook's.
Well then, since I see nobody else is eating Grintook's, I'll happily eat whatever he prepared because I don't have my own rations and I'm starving for months.
Yeah.
So I'm probably even gonna overdo it.
Yeah, I mean, you've been eating the scraps of Grintook's stuff for weeks now anyway, so you kind of know what to expect in terms of flavour, which is to say, like an acrid, bitter sort of taste. So yeah, I mean, it's not pleasant. There's a lot of crunchiness of like beetle carcasses and stuff that are inside it. But you are starving, and this is the largest portion you've been given to yourself for quite some time. For you, Raz, you're presented with a bubbling hot bowl of soup. It's got a nice fruity smell to it.
I'll just take a big whiff of it first before just knocking it all back at once.
Yep, Grantook's just rubbing his hands together as he's watching you.
It tastes different than normal.
That's the pomegranate. Don't worry, I have plenty more. You'll be eating lots of it in the weeks to come.
Did you not use any of the meat we got in the city?
Oh yes, here. And he gives you some of the grilled meat he made as well.
Excellent.
You could just dip this in the soup and it'll add the flavour.
Grintook, I don't think Raz is enjoying this pomegranate, right, Raz?
It's different, but it's still quite good. This human really adds to the flavor, though. I just dip the meat in and just take a chunk off of it. He must have been quite afraid when he died.
How much did you pay Vaz to come with us, Shiki?
What's Fee's reaction to the fact that he's been eating a human?
We negotiate a fair contract.
Not one that'll end with him eating you, I hope.
Not with what, sorry?
Not one that'll end with him eating you, I hope.
Oh, don't worry, it's clear in the contract that me and none of my compatriots shall be murdered or eaten.
Of course. I would never eat anyone who's paying me.
As long as he's paying you.
She kind of flinches when she realizes he'll fire.
But you have nothing to fear, weird, strange tree creature. Wood doesn't taste quite as well as the rest of the visitors.
I imagine I'd taste worse than usual as well.
If anybody's
Yeah, Fee
there you go.
got used to humans being eaten because he was in the cube. Cube was filled with minotaurs, and he experienced firsthand some even worse things than eating humans.
Yeah, if you just want to like exchange questions and answers, you can do the fireside chat. As you
So, young man, what did you say your name was again? Talking to Fee.
As he's munching this big bowl of soup. Oh, it's Fee, sir. My name is Fee.
Fee. So, where'd you learn to fight like that? You're clearly well trained.
Well, yeah, I got some experience. I fought a lot. I fought with minotaurs, tigers, lions, beasts, humans, elves, goblins, and he just continues the list, and it goes on and on what he fought so far.
It's very impressive.
Yes,
How would
well,
someone such as yourself become a slave?
oh, I got captured. But I don't think this is impressive, to be honest. There is nothing impressive about taking a life, you know?
That's not the impressive part. You did it in a single strike. Humans may be fragile creatures, especially to ones such as minotaurs. But that's it. You're pretty small.
I am, yeah. I'm not a big lad.
And yet you've got a massive amount of strength, enough to kill a man almost instantly.
What are you aiming at? What are you trying to say, Shiki?
Just as a trained fighter, so I'm curious where one acquired such skills and knowledge to be able to fight a way through the cube, and yet still remaining captive as a slave.
Well, it is a long, painful story for me. I would rather not talk about it.
That's
No.
your prerogative.
Shiki, can I ask you something?
Yes, of course.
Well, I know that I've already said that we're gonna depart. I don't want to be a nuisance to your company. I'm still waiting for a right moment so I can leave you guys at peace. Probably next normal settlement. And of course, I have trouble with my wounds. They haven't been taken care of properly by the Green Took. So I might stick a little bit longer with you, if you don't mind.
You're free to join us.
Yes, and I just want to ask,
Uh,
so what
for the
is your
next while,
direction?
at least, yeah. That we cannot say. We can't say exactly what we're doing at the moment. That's the only thing I cannot answer you. But until we can no longer travel together, you can stay with us.
Sure, I will stay out of your way. Thank you for letting me travel with you. I bow to you.
Well, I respectfully bow back. So, having another skilled fighter on our side, we no harm at all. Be a great merit to our adventure.
And I will also look around and ask if anybody has any skills in treating the wounds. And I open up the old wound from the pierced spear through my ribs and the saber tooth wound from my shoulder. If anybody could help me bandage it up properly. And I look at the
Oh
green
yes,
duke.
that's an excellent question. I'm still quite wounded from my journey to Nightcross. I just turn around and show like a giant gash on his back. That's still just bleeding heavily.
My magic appears to work fine on Naoki at least. I've never tried to heal a Minotaur before. She'll examine the two of them, and I'm guessing that Fia looks like closer to death than Ranzaleva, right?
Yeah, the Minotaur's had a chunk taken out of him, but there's a lot of him to take chunks out of. You can see the multitude of scars that have healed over his thick hide in previous years already. He's very battle-worn looking. Few, on the other hand, when you peel back the really dirty, disease-ridden bandage that he's been kind of like keeping himself wrapped up in, I mean, you can smell the wound and the rot looking at it. You'll probably find yourself wondering, how is this boy not died of sepsis already?
So,
Does it just look like someone's been pushing packed dirt into it to try to close the wounds?
I mean, that's probably literally what Grantuk has been doing.
so I'll put 1 mana into trying to heal Fee, and then I can try and heal Raz afterwards. No, it was like -1 forward or something, wasn't it? Danger -1 forward, or forget the other option.
You can take a pain or stress because it drains you, is the other option.
Well, I'll take -1 forward, sorry then.
Sure. So you can heal 1 wound on Fee because you pick the most diseased, dangerous looking wound.
And I'm imagining, like, you know, when I mentioned how casting normally it's like energy gathers up from the earth. I'm imagining it as being like these like motes of light, and some of them she just like she's concentrating harder, and some of them are just like discarded, and the other ones keep going up through her, like trying to weed out the good and the bad of the elf.
Yeah, you're trying to filter out the negative energies, yeah. And as you do that, I imagine your own infection, like you can see those negative energies kind of collecting around the edges of that and kind of being absorbed into you.
And then we'll do it again with that. So here we go. That's not good.
Do you have a background or something to give you a reroll?
I mean, I've got like Feywild and Medicine as tags, but that's it.
Oh, if you've got them as tags... Oh, let me think. You're not really using medicine, are you? Because you're doing the healing skill.
What about like any magical ability that might give you advantage or something?
I think I've only really got magical talent.
Which just gives you the
Actually,
magic, I suppose.
I've got one with nature, but that is listed as communicating with animals.
Yeah, so you're actually going to cause the Minotaur an extra wound.
Oof.
Would my magic resistance do anything?
That can reduce it to a pain or a stress of your choice.
Alright.
She's basically just injecting you with like demonic energies. She's not meaning to, but that's what happens.
I imagine like while she's trying to heal, she just like breaks into coughs.
Well, actually, let's say, because I described already as the energy's going into you, how about you're affected and you take the wound?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Because it just causes your own infection to flare up and become more painful and worse. Like, there's actually a sound of sizzling as it burns away at you.
I could feel the wound getting better. He just hears a sizzling sound behind him.
So would I take a win for that then?
You would take the wound instead of him, yes.
I guess while we're in here, it makes sense to take Eleanor out. Wound won't heal.
Yes, perfect makes sense. It's just worsening or aggravating your infection you already have.
I don't think I can do any more than that. I'm sorry, Minotaur.
What is happening to you?
The same thing that's happening to the elf here.
You're being affected by the foul sorceries of humans. And their greed.
Not humans.
Definitely not humans.
But
But isn't
what
it
are you?
Isn't this caused by the great sorcerer of the pit or something?
No, this is caused by demons.
I don't know exactly what caused it, but it happened after the demons started entering the Feywild.
And Jam, what are you even? Is your species somehow connected to the forest, to the ground? I haven't seen anybody like you so far.
Have you never heard of Dryad?
No, I've seen elves. There is plenty of elves in the cube, but they don't have skin like yours. What are you? What are you?
Well, if if humans are like spirits bound to bodies, then I think dryads are like spirits bound to trees. I don't
So
know.
you are half tree, half the body.
I don't know how to explain it. It's just how we are. It's I
Worry
think-
not, strange creature. If you fall to this dark magics, I will turn you into a weapon, and I will use you to slaughter thousands of demons in revenge.
Please don't turn me into a weapon.
But you would make an excellent axe handle.
I don't think I'd even make a good one at this point.
Well, okay, Jam. It looks like you need a rest. Let me know if I can help you somehow. Okay?
The most help you can give me is if we can get out of here as quickly as possible.
Right. Understood.
So you've made camp. You'll be able to bed down, but does someone want to take watch for the night?
Such a riveting conversation we're having. I'll take first watch.
Do you want to roll with
She can
careful?
volunteer
Back-
for a round of watch.
I'm actually gonna wait for like everyone to go to sleep, and then I'm gonna cast a spell, City in a Bottle.
Okay. You want to describe it for us?
Well, it's like City in a Bottle is just like you choose a location up to the size of a city. So I'm assuming
Where you are?
I can
yeah.
I can do smaller than that,
Yes.
and it's just gonna be like and it hides it from view. So I'm gonna like it's a dome that like kind of like casts an illusion around the area.
Okay, so your camp area, you're turning to look like something else.
No, it just like it disappears from view from outsiders. Like they look there, they don't even see it.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, give me your mana roll then.
So how does magic spells work? I gotta use
Yeah.
2d6 plus whatever mana I put into it, or
Yes.
alright.
I believe you get your mana back when you rest. So if you're resting afterwards, you get mana back anyway.
Gotcha.
That's how we were doing it, guys, wasn't it?
And do we start at level 1 or level 0?
Yes, yes.
I live
Or,
one.
Okay, so I'm gonna spend both mana then. 2d6 plus 2. 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, so it's going to go off, but you have to pick one of the three outcomes. So you can either take a pain or stress yourself, you can take -1 to the next time you cast a spell, or you expose yourself to danger.
I'm just gonna take a stress because won't that go away from us too? Once I rest for
The
the night?
pain will, the stress won't.
I don't even think a pain would work for anything, so I'll just do a stress. Be confused, like anxious in case like someone's finding us next to this creepy ass forest.
Also, you would get 1 stress back. It's 1 pain, 1 stress for an hour of rest.
Well, I'll still put it down until we wake up, and I'll take it back away.
Yeah. So everyone else is also going to recover a pain and a stress as you rest up. If you wish to stay for the entirety of like the next day, you could recover all of your pain. That's if you wanted to stay here. But your area is now protected, hidden, so nothing's going to know you're here anyway if you wanted to do that.
I'll leave that up to everybody else. I only have the 2 stress, and 1 will go away, so I'll just be at 1. That doesn't
Sure.
matter to me. One way or the other, if we stay or go.
So you take watch for a while, you do that, nothing happens. Shiki, when you take over, you know, it's creepy all around you, it's not a very comfortable setting, but nothing is going to make itself known to you guys, nothing's going to try and attack you. but nothing's going to appear to cause any danger. And you'll carry through till the next morning when the sun rises. In the daylight, the forest and its edge somehow looks even more threatening and hideous than it did in the darkness, because now you can see the full extent of the corruption, how twisted and horrid it's become.
So does Fee and the Minotaur need to stay another night, or like you guys just gonna power through?
I think it's better if we continue moving on.
These wounds won't slow me down. I've fought through worse before.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Okay, so if we're pushing on into the forest, who wants to take the lead?
Shiki will take the lead to the forest.
Just in case the Jam wanted to use their forest skills.
I don't know if I've got
Oryx.
any note of navigating a forest, really.
Well, if you got things for like communicating with nature and stuff, you would have means of literally asking the plants and trees and animals where you're going.
Yeah, one with nature specifically says like, animals rather than plants.
Yeah, I was
But
just
yeah,
wondering, that was all.
Like, I'd not mind assisting, you know? I just thought maybe this might not really apply because it's a corrupted forest.
Right, but
No, I think it will still apply. You just might want to second guess trusting all the answers you get.
I suppose that's true, yeah. Though we try asking the animals. Well, if we spot any, then
sure. Use a venture into the woods, and like I said, there's no birds chirping in the trees. There's no deer kind of like running away at a distance. There's a lot of like cockroaches, centipedes. You can see these wiry looking creatures that somewhat resemble rats, like scurrying between the branches and the tree trunks, the roots. So there is life here, just not the life you would really expect to see. But you can certainly ask.
well, I'll try and find one that doesn't look like it's going to eat us.
So what approach do you want to use?
So, I mean, I guess I'd want to find one, or find an animal that isn't like in a pack or anything like that. Like one which looks kind of inoffensive on its own, and try not to startle or anything. So I think careful.
Careful, and you'll have advantage because you've got the trait.
So I think she'll probably leave like the rest of the party at a slight distance and go to talk to whatever this creature is. Would she be able to talk to insects, or would that be?
Yes, insects will qualify.
So I don't know, like a centipede or something.
Sure. Centipede is like 8 inches long, some nasty looking mandibles which you know to be venomous, but it doesn't have any reason to harm you. It's just doing what centipedes do.
Excuse me.
It just like clatters, whatever kind of thing passes for communication from them.
If you've been here long, could you tell me where is the less corruption here? We're trying to head to the east.
imagine it sounds almost like a rattle of teeth. There's something unnerving about it as well, that even sets your nerves on edge. Do you want to give me the careful roll?
I happen to have good careful.
You've
Although,
got another dice because you've got advantage.
okay. Thank God. Oof.
A 9, 7, 8, which is the same end result.
I just saw the one and thought the words.
Yeah, you wander off on your own, which is always a good thing to do, to give yourself a bit of space, and so creatures don't feel as threatened as they usually do by like other beings. You manage to locate this centipede, and although it's kind of not looking like a regular centipede, and it has quite a harsh tone with you as you're speaking to it, you lean down and ask it your questions. And the thing like rears up in its hind legs and then tries to like spit poison at you. But a sharp, thin spear comes like striking out from the tree, or the other side of the tree where this thing was that you were talking to it, and like spears the thing, and venom just like runs down the edge of the spear. And you can hear a kind of croaky voice, a man's voice on the other side of the tree. You're not going to get any answers out of those things.
Then would you mind telling me?
I can try. You peer around the side of the tree, and there's this elvish man, very dark skin, tattered looking kind of brown robes. And he's infected with something, or he's been wounded in some way. He does not look very well. And he's just like propped up against the other side of the tree.
What are you doing here?
I was on a pilgrimage north, and I saw this forest and the life being drained out of it and corrupted the way it is, and I thought I could do something to help. But it's somewhat taken its toll on me.
Can Jan tell if it's something like what's afflicting her?
Careful roll. It's somewhat like what's affecting you, yes. It's like a deep-set internal rot of some kind. It's what's happening to him is what's happening to this forest.
How long have you stayed here?
I don't know, a few days perhaps? I didn't expect to see a dryad alive here.
I just arrived last night.
Perhaps you can make better use of this than I can then. And he sort of softly reaches into a pouch at his side, pulls something out of his hand and unfurls it in front of you. And it's just this very shiny, potent looking green orb, like the size of a marble.
And would I recognise what it is? Or...
You can tell that it contains like Feywild energy.
Were you using this to restore life to the land?
Yes. Unfortunately, I didn't bring enough with me, but it's my last one. I would use it myself, but there are more important things here.
I think for now you should just get out of the forest as soon as you can.
Oh, I've tried, but I've wandered for days and I haven't been able to find the forest edge.
Would you like to come with us? We are not heading the direction you were intending to, but...
You're with other dryads?
And not quite. I'm travelling with some humans and a minotaur.
humans? And he almost like gets up out of his spot to turn and look, and then he just like obviously feels pain in his body and he has to lower himself back down again. You can't trust humans these days.
I wouldn't have made it this far without them. I don't think I have a choice.
He shoves like the marble into your hands and kind of leans towards you as he does so. Please listen to me, valuable Dryad. Do not put your lives in their hands. It is through them that this rot has cursed us all.
What did they do?
They opened the gateway. They allowed this rift to happen, the weakening between worlds.
Why?
Why do they ever do anything? Their own selfish reasons.
But it's destroying their world as much as it was theirs.
Precisely. But they are ignorant and selfish. They have no respect for the Fae.
I still think you should come with us. We can keep you safe at least. Well, at least until we're out of the forest, and then you can go on your own way.
It's very gracious of you, but I think I will just lie here a while longer.
I'm worried if you sleep here, you might never get up. I really think you should come with us.
If the Fae wishes to take me and it's my time, then that is what will happen. Perhaps I will see you on the other side, Dryad.
Well, I'll see you there, so hopefully not for a while yet.
That you wish to know directions, and he points you in the direction that he came from. So the way that he entered the forest originally. There's the ruins a mile or so that direction. From there you're about a day's walk to the edge. Unless it has grown further.
And where did you want to plant the seed? And she holds up the orb.
I tried, you know the forest better than I. I will leave it to your decision as what to rescue. What is most valuable.
Okay, you can leave it with me.
And he has a look of kind of like calm peace over him, as if he's satisfied with that. He's managed to do something good here at least.
So going with what he said, then I'll trust that he can either take care of himself for a bit, or that he's done for anyway. And I'll try and recoup with the rest of them.
You come back. The others, Gronik has been getting kind of bored, and he started like carving his name into one of the trees.
Well, first of all, I'll let them know that there was supposedly a way out in the direction that the elf had told me. But if we keep going straight through the centre of it, like from where we entered, then perhaps I might be able to reduce the corruption a wee bit. Though it'll probably get worse before it gets better.
Did you mention that you got this information from an elf, or do you just keep that to yourself?
I think she'll just keep it to herself, because he didn't trust humans, so...
Roger.
I think Grentook will be like, did you see any rabbits?
I don't think I've seen any regular animals since we entered here.
Ugh. I could do with some meat.
You didn't seem to mind eating insects yesterday. Judging by what you put into that bowl.
Oh, I didn't eat any of those.
I see. Anyway, what do the rest of you think? If we keep going straight from where we were, then I think we'll be going through the worst of it. If we follow where my friend indicated, then we might get out sooner, but not on course.
What we pop out doesn't really matter as long as you get out the other side.
We need to hurry and leave this place to let others know so that someone can find a shaman to cleanse this corruption.
If we find the center of it, we might not need a shaman.
Are you able, Jam, to sense the amount of corruption, like tracing it to its source? If you already feel the consequences of this corruption, would you be able to pinpoint the location?
I think I could tell you, but it wouldn't be a pleasant experience.
If you already mentioned that you could cleanse it somehow, if you could trace it to its root.
Well, I think I might be able to. I'm not confident in it, but I can try.
Well, we're not gonna go off of maybes and possiblies. We have more important things to do.
Oh,
I think,
my apologies. I didn't know that. What are your things that are more important than this? Then you must be on the very, very valuable quest, I must say.
Or what I value as importance isn't the same as yours.
Yes.
Does Drakan's attitude also remind you of what Drakan was like previously when you knew him, Fee?
It is different. He reminds me, but that there is something different about him. And we didn't travel for too long. I'm not even 100% sure that it's him, but yeah, with every passing day, I'm growing more and more sure that it's the same person that I've met on my travels 2 years ago.
Okay, so what now?
So,
I guess s6e and the Minotaur are the tiebreakers, or the past the votes, I should say.
This foul corruption cannot stand.
I didn't expect that of you, Minotaur, of all people.
This great continent belongs to the Minotaurs. We can't allow any foul human magic to corrupt it for too long.
You know, you said that before, but do you actually know anything about this magic? Is it human?
All magic that doesn't use the spirits of the earth and the sky are foul human magic.
Even when humans aren't the ones casting it.
Yes, there's just short humans and then pointy-eared humans.
I love it.
I think they call them half humans.
Well, for now, I think we should keep going. If we happen to go close enough to the center, then I can see what I can do, but for now, I think we should get out as soon as possible.
So you're
Right.
going. Sorry, are you going through the center to try and fix it then, or are you going through a different way?
I think, like internally for Jam, it's more like he did say the elf that we could hang on to the orb in case there's some better use for it.
Uh-huh.
So I think Jam's currently like deliberating whether or not to use it here or after she's returned to the Feywild.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like an opportunistic thing. Like if we happened to go to the right place to use it here,
Sure.
then she'd try it, but she's not aiming to.
So that's 2 and 2. We're still waiting on s6e to speak up here.
He's turned to Shike. Noki is like on his hands and knees, still furiously trying to scrub and get some of the marks and blood out of the clothing.
Sorry, I had to run to the bathroom for a while. My stomach is killing me, so I've been so silent.
It's fine, Jam was just doing her stuff.
Yeah, so I've missed most of what Jam's thing is. Pretty much as soon as like an elf saved her from a centipede, and it came back, and it's
Yeah, she's came back to the group and she's said, you know, I can take you through, we can go through the centre of the forest, or we can go this way, which may be a shortcut, but
The way I
is the corruption at the centre of the forest.
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe she can fix it. Maybe she can't.
Drakan, you're the one leading us to our destination, so which way should we go?
It doesn't matter what we pop out at. I can get us where we need to go. So the quickest way through is my vote. But we have two here who want to try to save the forest.
imagine when he says that, it's like, save the forest, a very sarcastic wave of your fingers.
Pretty much.
Do the good thing.
Well, I'm going to join the vote, save the forest. I can't stand to see such corrupt demonic filth.
Even though it will take away from our more pressing matters.
Mm. No. It's not like we're on a deadline for our pressing matters. It's not like things are going anywhere.
I show him the forest. You sure we're not on a deadline?
No. We don't even know. It's simply a lead we're following at the moment.
Okay.
So they turn to you, Jam. So what are you doing?
So talking to the animals didn't seem to be a good idea. Would I be able to use I don't know if there's actually a proper way to use the background. Like I've got Wildling as a background because I thought Feywild counts, right?
Sure, yeah, I get what you're going for with that.
And it says when you spend time in the wilderness communing with nature, you're granted a vision of significance. So would she be able to just kind of like lay out her roots and try and find where the corruption stems from?
Okay, so you're trying to like look into what's happened basically and get a vision of it.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Probably a careful roll, right?
If it helps me not die, yes.
It helps me not die.
Yeah, well, you're doing it carefully because you're trying not to open yourself up to any kind of corruption here, because this is obviously a risky maneuver that way.
Yes. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, so you stay there, you get down, you let your roots grow out and reach into the dirt, the ash, connect with the system of mycelium and other roots that are coming from all the various plants under the ground here to trying to tap into that massive sort of neural complex that the forest is, and trying to read of what's happened and where things have originated from. And you can see that right at the heart of this forest, there is some kind of incursion, some sort of like demonic presence that has, ripped through reality there, and inch by inch, and at an accelerating speed, it's stretched out to envelop the whole of the forest, corrupting it as it goes. And you get a sense, following these routes and directions, exactly where that corruption lies and where that incursion happened. And you can see even now it's kind of like the rotten, beating heart at the centre of this forest, and every time it beats, it's sending out another wave of rot that stretches out further and further.
Right. Well, as soon as she knows or has sensed that, she'll try and attack her consciousness to not be corrupted by it further.
You'll either take a pain or a stress from doing that as well.
I think I'll take. Yeah, I'll take pain. I'll take -1 forward again.
Just from the exertion.
Just like kind of panic that she might have been noticed by that. Just like quickly returning to herself. And she'll get up and then point out in that direction. Sorry, I cannot speak. And say, well, the heart of the corruption's this way. If you're sure you want to go further.
No, I don't want to go further, but I also don't have a choice.
Yes, so you just head out in that direction. Some more eager than others. Noticeably, Gruntuk and Nuki are, hanging back the whole way. At various points, Gruntuk will say to Nuki, it's probably more dangerous at the back. If something wanted to eat you, this is where it would snatch you. And Nuki kind of just like hurriedly jogs to the centre of the line.
doesn't stop for a second to think, then why are you back here? Stop.
Every time someone says something, I hear that creepy laughter in the music.
Yeah, because Gruntuk's like laughing as he does stuff to just like be malicious.
I think Gruntuk's the reeds in the back is dangerous.
Yes, but you make your way deeper into the forest, and as you go, I think the flaring of your disease kind of glows more and more. Shike, being an expert in such demonic issues, he's certainly going to sense like a demonic presence as you get closer, and I think he would also recognise what an incursion feels like, where these rifts between worlds happen and how things spill through. The forest becomes less of a forest and more of just skeletal structures of trees surrounded by sort of purpley grey mush, where things have just like decayed and deteriorated into just this biological mass of sludge, and you're having to kind of like wade through it ankle deep. The state of the place is just going to smell like decomposing vegetation and flesh, and there's going to be a slight kind of not so much a humming, but a kind of soft static sort of sounds just in the background all the time as you get closer and closer to this thing. And then from somewhere ahead in the gloom, something large roars.
Stop. What was that?
There's a crunching, and one of the trees falls over. And you see this creature on 3 legs kind of stretch out. It's got one large red eye in the centre of its head and this elongated maw with all these really misshapen looking things that look like teeth, but then you can see them wiggling and they're actually fingers.
Go to the center, they said. It's the right thing to do, they said.
Behind it is this kind of warbling, misshapen, ever moving, dark purple hole in reality. Spilling out of it every now and again is another mouthful of this sludge. It just kind of burps out onto the ground.
If we vanquish the demon, we could destroy the bridge that's keeping that portal open.
This thing is twice the height of the Minotaur. It's pretty large. So, what do you want to do?
Well, if you can buy me some time, I can seal it.
Seal it. Good. Well, Fee is gonna pass the round observing the enemy. He fought against all kinds of different beasts and things, so he's gonna wait for the opportunity to see if this beast has any kind of weakness or when it is the right time to strike. I'm gonna roll my careful for waiting the opportunity.
Yeah, you're gonna hang back with Drentuke and Noki.
Yeah, and just observing what could be the weakness or something.
I'm gonna do kind of the same, except I'm gonna shadow step to the tallest tree that's as far away from that thing as I can get, and still stay within eyesight, and also observe what happens.
As a professional demon hunter, have I seen a demon like this before?
Yes, this would definitely be something you recognise. I mean, they take all different sort of shapes and forms. It's more the energy signature you recognise. And this is like a lesser demon from the demonic plane.
Okay. So, just going to use my artificer skills to create a sealing talisman for it. Stop it in its place.
Sure. Do you want to give me a roll?
Yeah. And for artificing, I need to use magic. So I will put... Is there more than one of these things, or is it just one thing?
It's just the one.
Yeah. So I'll put 2 mana into it. So 2d6 plus 2.
Aced it. Perfect 10.
12.
So,
So it just takes a wee bit of time to make sure that I don't make mistakes.
of course, you want to
nice
get
and
right
clear.
first time. Yep.
Yep. And then I need to attach the sealing talisman to it.
So yes, as you've already announced to the rest of them, just they need to buy you a moment where you prepare this, tailor it to the thing's energy signature so that it works most effectively.
Yep.
Which, given everyone else, that leaves Raz and Jam up front.
I'll draw my axe. And then raise it into the air while charging at it.
It's a pretty straightforward action.
Yeah.
I think like Jam will like follow after Vaz and say, like, I think that it'll catch on to my energy, so it might prioritize me.
So you want to bait yourself.
She's going to kind of take cover in Raz's shadow until they get close.
Okay,
And
so
she's going to try and strike and serve as a distraction when they're close.
okay, so we'll count this as you aiding the roll, but if something goes wrong, it's going to hurt you.
Okay.
So Raz, you can roll forceful for the attack, and you'll have advantage because you're being aided.
Uh, 13.
That will do it. You're not magical.
I am magic resistant, so I'm always counting as magical based on anyone else's magic.
Yes, you equal them. Okay. Okay, so together, you will manage to inflict a serious wound on this creature, if you want to describe it.
I'll bellow and bring my axe down on where its misshapen head is. Then what does Jam do after that?
Well, I was thinking she would serve as a distraction to let you get the hit in, but if you just like bonked on the head.
Well, combination-wise, you succeeded. So maybe you charged in at the last second, you kind of like take a different direction, so it snaps at you, and that allows the opening for Raz to get the strike in. But it's such a successful roll that after that happens, you can also turn around and get a strike in.
Then I think if he's like bringing its head down with his axe, then she'll try to go for its neck.
Yes, the axe comes down, splits its head in two, right down the middle, taking out the single red eye in its head. And you turn around and take the opening of like just jutting your sword, the sword you picked up earlier, straight into its neck. This dark purple ichor just comes like hissing out, and it just, instead of bleeding out, it just sort of like hisses like steam, and then like liquefies as it ionizes in the air, turning into liquid, and then just like droplets coming down from the steam in the air. The thing rears back with a kind of shriek. It's almost like a small child that's been badly hurt, kind of pulling itself away. Either side of its head is kind of just like flopping to the side, but it doesn't seem to really slow it down any. It just causes it pain and causes it to retreat some. At this moment, Fee, you did your thing to wait and look for an opening, right?
Yeah, I roll. I think 10 plus.
Yeah. So is it for the weakness you're looking for?
Yeah, weakness. Well, the whole thing about this ability is that I'm spending a round, and on a successful roll, I could have an advantage on next strike. So, like passing around, but having advantage in the next one if I roll successful.
Yes. So you're gonna you're watching for like the way it moves, and because of the size of it, and now it's the way it's kind of waggling the remains of its head around, you can see that potentially if you were to close the gap on one side of its body between the legs, there's an area where it just wouldn't be able to protect itself as well as the rest of the areas. Them splitting its head open, Shiki is going to give you plenty of time to put together what you need to put together.
So once the talisman's ready, I'll simply run towards it and attach the talisman, which will paralyze it.
Are you yelling for anyone to give you help as you're trying to do what you're doing?
It's like, just make sure it doesn't flee. Hold it down if you can.
Have you seen how big it is?
And then Shiki goes sprinting past you, Fee, as he runs towards it with something in his hand.
I watch him as he's running for the beast.
You run up to Shiki. The thing is, like I said, its head is flopped down. It's retreated, just stepped itself backwards. And when it moves, it's almost like one of those old stop motion animations. You know what I mean? It's as if there's flickers of pausing reality as it kind of moves. It's a very unnatural kind of style of movement. And if you want to give me a roll, Shiki, what approach do you take in quickness if you're rolling?
Yeah, this will be quick because I'm trying to just make sure it gets on there as quickly as I can.
Seems like it. Does
Just
anyone want to aid him in this?
I'll aid him by throwing one of my bolas at the creature.
So you'll have advantage.
A 10.
Yes, you run past everyone, this thing in your hand. Is this just like you just like slap it onto it or what?
Yeah, as soon as the talisman makes contact, it essentially just locks it in place in the material world. It's still conscious, it can still think, but it no longer can move
It
until
can't
the
escape,
talisman
yeah.
essentially burns out. Which
Yeah.
will eventually burn out.
Yeah, so you run towards it, and this cannonball just whizzes by your head, missing you by millimeters, and then like smashes into the creature in front of you. And just the sheer like kinetic force of it causes it to kind of bow its head downwards, which is absolutely perfect for you as you run over just to slap this talisman onto the top of its head. The thing like convulses as if it's been tasered or something. And sort of just
And then it's just stopped. It's like it's frozen in time.
yeah. So someone's hit pause.
Oh, big sigh of relief for Shiki. That's it sealed for a while, so let's have a look at this portal.
It's like glug glug, and another big bucket of goop comes pouring out. It's almost like it's coughing it up.
Yeah. Oh, Raz, feel free to kill it if you want. The demons can be pretty hardy though, so be very careful to make sure the talisman doesn't fall off. Shiki goes to investigate the portal.
You like sidestep around the massive creature, and you're up to your knees now in this goop. It's just foul
Disgusting
smelling,
plant.
yeah, disgusting, foul smelling goop. As you come around to the portal itself and you like peer through it, you can see a sight you're somewhat familiar with, the demonic realm on the other side, and it looks as if it's some sort of chasm or something in the demonic realm that this thing has crawled out of. And the chasm itself is just a swirling pool of this sickly liquid or sludge. You can see others of its kind sort of being birthed far below.
Yeah, we need to seal this quickly.
Does the creature
Or
have
actually-
anything, have any part of its body that would be good for a trophy?
I mean, maybe the eye if you hadn't cut it in half.
Oh, so that's what I was about to shout. The eye, if it's intact.
I just cut off one of its giant, monstrous hands.
There's all the little fingers that it's using for teeth. Yeah, you could also cut one of those also.
You can also take a horn. Looks like it's got horns in the picture.
Do you
that
really
works.
want a trophy from this thing?
It was a glorious battle. It'd be dishonorable for this abomination if I didn't take a trophy.
But
Just make sure it's
covered in
dead
slime.
first.
Ah, good point. I'll just start chopping it up at where I think the neck is.
Yeah, so like Drax said, it's got this sort of armoured collar to protect that area apart from the underside where Jam had already stabbed it. But yeah, I mean, you can just start hacking away at it with the axe if you want. Give me a roll for that.
So does axe fighting give a advantage for using an axe, or is it just a extra +1?
Have you got it as a trait?
It's a tag.
It's more for your defensive stuff too. Like you get a +1 in defense.
Yeah,
if
you're
fighting
trained
with
in
an
like
axe.
axe fighting, yeah. But depending on circumstances, like sometimes it would be applicable.
Well, I guess strong would work then, wouldn't it?
Well, I'm thinking more it's the accuracy that's important, so you don't accidentally disrupt the talisman. Because you're
Yeah,
going to hit it no problem, and you're very strong. It's just if you
I'll just roll a 2d6 with careful.
Sure. And Fee, do you want to do anything?
No, I'm gonna look out if there's anything of interest happening around, except the portal and the beast.
So the rest of them aren't paying as much attention, but you notice every time this beast is taking an injury, and every time Raz is like striking it with his axe now as he's trying to like decapitate it, the sludge all around you kind of just like moves up and down as if it's breathing, and all the trees and stuff around you sort of shake as if they're also connected.
I'm gonna shout to Jam what I've noticed, what is happening. Is this normal?
I think we should get it into the portal. Don't worry about killing it, just get it out of here.
Raz, you strike it again and again and again. You miss the talisman because you've been careful. And the steam that's pouring out of it, it kind of collects up in the air around you. And as it condenses back into liquid and falls on you, it stings your skin. So you're going to take a pain. But you managed to lop the remains of its head off. Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, I was planning to cut its head off to finish
you,
it off.
yeah, you successfully cut the head off that had the talisman in it, and therefore disconnecting the talisman with the rest of its body. The creature rears up on its hind legs and stretches out its front legs as they like twist and contort, and new fingers split the skin and grow out from where the feet were to turn them into hands.
It's not dead yet.
And I told you not to disconnect the talisman.
I didn't. It's still attached.
Yes, the head is definitely not moving.
Can we tell if it can actually sense us in any way right now?
I mean, if you want to see if it can, sure.
I think before it can do anything, I want to try to just push it into the portal. Like
Well, the rest of
Jam
them
said to do.
get the chance to say
Sorry,
something
go ahead.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think to test that out, Jam's going to move around it, like to the portal,
Okay.
to see if it can still detect our magic.
Are you
come after?
okay? Are you trying to bait it purposely?
It's more to check and see if it can sense us at all. But if it does come after her, then at least it'll be in a better position to push in.
So sneaky would be trying to get by unnoticed. Flashy would be trying to get by purposely being noticed.
I think it would be more careful, isn't she's moving and then seeing if it reacts or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a like testing what's happening with
Yeah,
it.
so you're doing it carefully then, because you don't want to overextend.
I think so.
Okay, give me a careful. Fee, you can jump in at any point you wish.
And I'm still in a tree watching all this happen.
Well, that's not good.
Drax like, they've got this.
They did until he cut the talisman off.
Yeah, so Jam, you starts to like edge around the side of this thing, and its left hand just swoops down and scoops you up into the air.
Well, it can still sense us.
It starts to squeeze you incredibly hard. You can feel something like snapping in your ribcage, if you have one. So you're going to take a wound.
I guess that's where I would finally react, since I've just been watching this whole time.
Sure.
I guess I would try to like make it hit it with from a distance and see if it would like let go, force it to let go.
Yep, what are you hitting with?
I have just daggers, I have like a throwing daggers. So I
Dagger
guess I
throw.
just- yeah.
What are you aiming for?
I guess like if it was like a feet that grew fingers into hands, then I would try to hit like whatever joints that would holding it together. So maybe
So like
like
the wrist or something? So like the tendon
Yeah.
in the wrist?
yeah, so maybe like reflexively just like opens itself up because of pain.
Sure, that sounds good. Yeah, give me a roll. Don't know if you're trying to do it fast or carefully.
No, I've just been watching, so I guess it would just be like it's no rush or anything. I've just been waiting for this moment. So careful, I guess.
Yeah,
Or
that
clever.
sounds good. Yeah,
See what my
careful sounds good.
9 plus 1. So 8.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a consequence, but it's not going to be you that hurts because you are such a distance away. So yes, you throw this dagger at it. You hit right where, based on human anatomy, the common anatomy of things that have hands and wrists, where the tendon would be, that would allow it to grasp things. And it does indeed work, and it lets go of the dryad, who plummets to the ground and falls headfirst into this disgusting decomposing sludge. And she's going to take a pain.
Ugh.
Does anyone else want to do something?
Well, Shiki's trying to close the portal, so
Yeah, do you want to give me a roll for closing the portal?
yeah.
Is that just like a spell you need to cast, basically? Or is it like a ritual or something?
It's a portal's opened by a connection, so it's going to have some sort of resonance. Which, if it matches,
Conduit, yeah.
I just need to cut the conduit out, and the portal will collapse. So
Yes.
it will be essentially it's finding the bit and then just like using my own magic to cut it.
So you're kind of like reaching out with your energies and probing it and trying to find where the connection is.
Use the astral sight, just find the exact point, and
then sever it, yeah.
Yep.
That sounds good. Yeah, give me a roll.
So be a careful roll.
That sounds good, yeah.
Find the exact.
Good job.
You got a background in this?
I am a professional demon hunter, so cutting a portal to the
Yep,
demon
that
realm.
sounds perfect for you.
Oh, an 11.
That's
There we go.
what changed.
What changed?
I was like, wait, I was about to strike like one point. I'm like, wait. I moved my finger about a wee centimeter and then cut it.
Yeah, there's like the red wire, blue wire.
Blue wire. Yeah.
Oh
Red
no,
wire, blue
that
wire.
would have been terrible. That would have opened up another load of these things.
It's like, yeah, that was gonna. It's like, wait, that was gonna lock it in place. No, I don't want to lock it. I want to cut it.
Can I take advantage of the moment he starts closing the portal to try to push the thing through it?
At the last second, sure.
I'm guessing that would be quick then, wouldn't it?
If it's a matter of speed, yes. But you're strong, so I'll give you advantage on it. Although you're doing it quickly, it is a feat of strength.
It is taking a little while. Oh, it was trying to be dramatic. It took a few seconds to load the dice.
I actually thought you were doing it for drama. Yes, you kind of just like lean down, shoulder barge underneath it, flip the thing up as you force your way upwards, and just as the portal begins to shrink, this thing tumbles up and somersaults over backwards into the hole, and then the hole just like shrinks up and goes, pops, and disappears. And then the ground around you just kind of belches one last time for good measure. And you are left standing there in what appears to be the remains of ruins of some kind of temple, overgrown, covered in this viscous sludge.
That's a fine day's work, don't you think? We've still got the sealed demon head. Portal's closed.
Sludge begins to
Is this-
dry up like mud, and begins to just become all like hard and crispy.
Is this the source?
Sorry, Fee.
Is this the source?
I think that thing was the source. He gets up out of all the goop.
This head will make a fine trophy for my collection once I return to the cube.
Pick up the head, and it's like split in half nearly, with just this big long tongue lolling out.
You know, if it starts spilling out more goop, then you have to get rid of it.
You just see Grintook like, and scooping up a handful of the goop before it dries up.
Does he just start burning his hand?
Wonder what kind of poison stuff I can make out of this. I had the same thought though. I wonder what kind of poison this would turn into.
As then off to the side, you all hear Nuki cry out, "Help! Help me!" Turn around and you just see his arms and legs like waving in the air.
Cheeky will quickly run to go save his servant.
"Help me, master! Help me!" And he's like, top half of his body is like covered in goop.
Yuck.
He's on the ground, legs in the air.
I will also collect some of this goop in like some kind of glass vial, like use supplies, I guess, or venturing gear maybe.
As supplies would work, yeah, for something small.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like samples, like take some of this as like a sample.
You run over Shiki, and like I said, he's there and he's like half covered in this stuff, and it all dries up over the top of him. So like the top half of his body is like submerged in it, with just his legs and his arms sticking out.
I'll do everything I can to break him free.
Very easily, you just kind of like smack the dry part, and it shatters, and then you grab him by the hand and pull him up. It looks as if he just like fell over backwards. He's breathing like full on panic. Oh, thank you, my lord. I wasn't sure I was going to make it.
I'll just quickly dust off like the dry, like earth off him, just pat him down. Like, you're okay, don't worry about it. Everything will be just fine.
Did we win?
Oh, the demon's been slain and the portal's been closed.
Oh, thank goodness.
It was a glorious battle. Can you carry this? My servant is too small.
You drop the head on him, it's like nearly the size of him.
So if this was like the ruin of a temple, like this, Jan will approach the entrance to it.
Sure, most of it is sort of like collapsed. More so than of just being overgrown and eroded from time, because it's clearly a very ancient structure. You can see that the carvings and murals and statues of it have all been purposely defaced, scratched out, gouged out with tools.
Can I, since I've lived here in this continent so long, can I figure out what kind of temple this is, or try to see if I know?
Yes, this architecture is goblin in design.
Some sort of ancient goblin ruins of the whatever their empire was called.
Grantuk just kind of like sneers and spits and he goes, "Losers."
Maybe we can find some ancient weapons to do great battle with.
Who said the ancient goblin empires had powerful weapons? The old myths and tales.
Yes, there's a tale passed down in my tribe that they had weapons that could erase mountains from existence.
Grantuk just kind of like snarks and laughs.
But then they all died, so how great could they be?
Let's take a sideward glance at Grintook and just
glaring at the Minotaur with just like
fallen.
renewed vengeance.
He was all happy, haughty, and proud, and then I just said that.
No, sneer to look at him, just like, how the mighty have fallen.
This is a temple, not an armory. I wouldn't hope for too many weapons.
But then how would they?
Especially if someone's already defaced. Bliss.
Then Grantuk just sighs heavily. "Ah, you normies know nothing. It's a library. Look," and he points.
Library?
And he points to like language that's been like scripted across the top of the doorway, which makes no sense to anyone because it's just a bunch of like marks. Clearly here it says archive collection.
On what?
Only thing more.
How the hell should I know?
The only thing more powerful than weapons is knowledge.
Or a poison, he says to himself as he walks away.
What about knowledge about weapons?
Or about poison. She shouts after him.
What do you
Well,
say, Grip? He then says,
Oh, you go few?
Lord Dracan,
Do what?
now that this corruption has been dealt with, there are some wounds to be healed. I look at Jam, as she's been clearly wounded so far in the forest and in this battle. We could use a little bit of rest here. In the meantime, those interested, we could check out the library. Or we could all maybe make a camp inside of the library. There shouldn't be any danger in the library, right? Goblin?
Oh no, yeah, sure, perfectly safe. I'll get the soup on. It's probably time for Raz to eat again anyway.
Yes, a great battle always works up a hearty appetite.
Yes.
But yeah, you guys go inside. I'm sure it's perfectly safe.
Yeah, perfectly safe, as I also stay outside.
Do I fit in the doors?
It would be a struggle for you to fit in the doors. You would have to get down on your knees.
It's too small in there. I don't want to get stuck.
I think Jam's going inside though. I mean, I don't know how much help a library would be, but
Which approach does Jam want to take going inside?
like, given that the goblin is saying it's safe, she'll be looking out for traps. But I also expect that if it's been defaced so far already and was occupied by a demon that's apparently crushed the place to pieces, or maybe it was already like that.
It's also very old, like very, very
Yeah.
old.
So hopefully what was installed there has already kind of fallen apart, but she'll keep an eye out anyway.
Yeah, so if he calls for a rest because Jam is obviously injured, then Jam is going to push on into the temple on her own, the library on her own.
Shiki will follow her and call Naoki to join. Come, Naoki, we'll
Yeah.
explore this library.
Okay,
And I'll set up camp while you guys do that.
While everyone else is doing their thing, Vassalo is just gonna start carving the what happened in the battle on one of the walls, just defacing all the remaining text.
defacing it further, yeah. Seeing that you are just going about defacing his culture's ancient heritage, Grintook is furiously like grinding away at the pomegranate.
Still insists on the pomegranate.
More and Pencil just like gonna get him good. Yeah,
Is Gwyntook's entire hatred just all centered around misunderstandings?
I think that's funnier, yeah. But he's just going to direct everything at you, even if it's not you. He's been around you so long now that he's just blaming everything in his life on you.
Just the big dumb brute he's been following around for some reason he forgot.
Stupid Minotaur. Making goblins small, I'll show him. Yeah, so Jam, if you want to roll.
Hopefully a kill for me. Hey.
Yes, you're able to pick your way through the ruins successfully without triggering any traps. There'll be a couple of times you see like a stone or slab that's fallen from the ceiling and killed someone underneath. You can see like the bones and the feet sticking out, some crushed metal that used to be their armor. So there was booby traps here, and they have been activated to kill things. But you're able to make the descent downwards the tunnel, and it opens up enough down there that you're able to like stand upright, and Shiki just like comes out behind you, brushing off all the dust from his fine clothery.
And she follows as well.
Sure. Yeah, you just pick your way through and you get down, and it's this large rectangular chamber that you find yourself in. Rows and rows of books, extremely dusty. You can smell the mold that's thick in the air down here. And at the far end of the rectangular room, there's no more shelving units. There's just like this massive mural that stretches across.
And Shiki will run up towards the mural with fascination.
Right away, Shiki, you recognise the depictions of dragons. There are two dragons, one on either side, and either of them is standing like above a massive army. And on one side is depicted as being humans and goblins and elvish-looking figures. You can tell by the ears. And on the other side, the dragon seems to be surrounded by twisted, monstrous, demonic creatures.
Well, two armies heralded by dragons. That's an army of good and an army of evil.
Is the dragon recognizable in any way? Does it have some unusual appearance? For instance, being made of gold.
Neither of them are. So this place has been ransacked. So if they were like plated in gold originally, someone's long since like chipped it off. It's just like bare stone. So even if it was like painted previously, there's no indication of what colours were used. So no, the dragons look fairly, pretty much the same as each other. It's quite symmetrical.
I was just hoping we'd have a hint to look out for, but that's good.
Mirrored dragons fighting a battle. The symbolic mirror, or is that a literal mirror? Siblings.
This looks like a perfect place to make a camp. It's very safe and protected. And warm.
So, you know, goblins were, like, in ancient times, they were powerful mages as well. They had good technology, they had good magic. I'm wondering if I could perhaps try and desecrate the ruins a bit more.
How so?
I'm wondering if perhaps if they use magic in their construction, then Jam might be able to kind of borrow that magic to plant the seed in here to try and rejuvenate the area.
Okay, so you want to tap into any residual magic that's left in the ruins.
Like, I was considering maybe like, the portal closing would release enough energy on its own, but if we've got goblin magic here, why not?
Well, the portal would have just stopped more demonic energy seeping into this realm. But yes, I mean, obviously the fey magic that usually powers a forest has been depleted, so you need to draw in something else to try and reinvigorate it. So yes, you could try and plug into that here.
So I think if you'd find like a spot of the slabs of the ground that are cracked, and then just kind of force her roots through with the orb to plant it in there.
Okay. I heard the word force, so I'm going to say a forceful roll.
Oh no.
To really try to just push that energy through and just get it, like you're trying to start an engine almost. You're just trying to create a spark.
And that's not good.
Do you have another background that play? Or anything in your about your tags?
I don't think so, really, no. Just Feywild stuff and nature stuff.
But I mean, this is literally Feywild nature magic you're trying to make use of.
Yeah, I thought maybe it'd be too physical to use that, though.
Well, the physical is just pushing your roots down, but it's a magical, spiritual effort to kind of trigger the magic and use it, right? But you already used your wildling background today, didn't you?
Yeah. Like, I've got Feywild as a separate tag, but maybe that's redundant. So yeah, I guess I might not get the evil, though.
Would Feywild make more sense as part of your wildling background?
He's got Feywild as a tag because he's a creature of the Feywild. Yeah, I think in another sense Feywild might work, but not to tap into goblin magic, because that sounds like it'd be a different thing. So you're going to reach down deep and push all your energies into the earth, into the connection of the magic of this place, deep-seated within the rocks and the runes. And imagine for everyone else, you see all the runes and the pictograms sort of light up in this bright green light for just a moment, and then the whole place shakes and shimmers, and then it stops, and Jam's going to take another wound. You triggered some sort of ward that protects this place.
You hear a shout from outside that says, just Rossaloa shouting about how his art has been accepted by the ancestors. As the wall starts glowing as he finished it.
That's funny.
Jam just like coughs up embers. It's like, well done.
He's gonna rush to Jam, help her out in some way, not knowing what's happening.
No, it's fine. I was just giving it a chance. We can head back and set up camp now.
It's a crashing sound as half of the mural just like slides and falls off of the wall. And Shiki, you can see behind that mural is another mural, an older one. And it seems to depict not an army of goblins and elves and humans beneath the dragon, but it's a dragon with an army of minotaurs below it.
Those goblins tried to rewrite history from an older age. The age of Raz's people. Fascinating. Has the other side's army changed, or is just the goblin-human alliance changed?
On the other side, well, I mean, do you want to smash the other part of the mural to cause it to fall?
I'll try and carefully break it. Instead of just like...
Okay, give me a roll. This is just to see if you break it carefully or if it falls apart. You're going to manage it either way.
What are you doing, Shiki? Are you talking to yourself?
Starts
Yeah,
prying.
he always talks to himself when he theorizes this stuff.
He starts like prying the edge of the mural and just completely like destroys it one piece at a time. Utterly.
Yeah, I was trying to like keep it intact,
No,
like so I could rebuild it kind of thing.
Completely destroyed, defaced the whole thing, man.
Yeah.
Grintook just hears a kind of like angry wail and looks around confused for a second. As he hears his ancestors call out in pain. The mural beneath, however, doesn't show one dragon leading an army, it shows an army of dragons.
Wow. Amazing.
Oh, this is interesting.
an army of dragons fed off by what could be described as a traitor dragon who sided with the Minotaurs in a great war.
Minotaurs fighting in war against the dragons.
Yes. Minotaurs of the
No.
oldest civilization, so the stories say.
But what do the goblins have to do with them and dragons?
Well, the goblins had a great civilization before the rise of man, and it was their collapse that supposedly led to our rise. And the Minotaurs have just always wait. If the legends are true, the Minotaurs have always just patiently waited. They've just always been there. But this would say the Minotaurs maybe had a civilization before the goblins. Maybe even the goblins
Or-
stole their civilization.
Or they were in some kind of allegiance. But what happened to the
No.
goblins? How?
Look, there are no goblins on the mural. Maybe this library
but
wasn't originally a goblin library. Maybe this was an old Minotaur facility. And a Minotaur temple, maybe. And the goblins, after the fall of Minotaur civilization, the goblins took over, turned it into their library.
But why would they keep
That's
this
what-
mural here instead of destroying it?
Because of the structure of the building. The mural's built into the wall, so maybe if they tore down the mural, it would destroy the building. So instead, the safer way is to pave over the mural. Install a new one.
So Shiki, I'm not.
It's all conjecture. This is all conjecture, mind you. But fascinating.
I'm not educated in history, but what caused the fall of the goblins? What happened?
Who knows? Not even the goblins, modern goblins, know what caused the fall. There's no definitive answer, just endless speculation.
Interesting. You think there might be another mural behind this one?
You mean you think something predates the Minotaurs? And the Minotaurs stole that? That'd be far less likely.
Murals all the way down. You can try and
Everyone just
pry this
gave the
mural off
original.
as well if you want.
See if there's another one under it.
Let me chip away a corner to see if there's like something behind the mural.
Okay, so just chipping away to see if there's another layer.
Yeah, see there's a layer behind it.
God, this thing is priceless, and you're really gonna chip away a corner of it.
Well, he's already defaced one ancient civilization's artwork. Why
I
not
mean,
do
it's a good thing
another?
I'm not. It's a good thing I'm not in there. I'd be freaking out.
Yeah, I'm pissed off the goblin. I might just piss off the Minotaur.
Sure, I take it you're doing this one carefully as well.
Yep. I don't have that, just a +1. Oh,
Oh, as soon as your tool, sword, whatever you're using, makes contact with this mural, there's a bright spark of white light and you take a wound. There's a ancient magical energy just zaps out to protect it.
Oh wow. What was that? A magic? A goblin?
Yep.
Goblin magic.
doubt it. That is very ancient magic.
But
The
how
goblins
ancient?
defaced the
Goblin
mural.
ancient.
Maybe that's the reason what. Remember your question earlier, Fee? Or why the goblins didn't destroy it? And they just paved over it with their own tail? I think we just got our answer.
Maybe we should bring Raz. Maybe he would know something about it.
I don't know if he'd even fit in here.
Well, the fit in this room, but it's the corridor to here was very narrow.
But if this is already a Minotaur structure that could be taken over by the goblins, then
I would explain why this room's so much bigger than the path to it.
Were there any like, books that would have survived long enough, or tablets or something in the room?
There's some books that look intact on the shelves.
Although I doubt we'd be able to read any of them. With yeah, so Jam will go and take a book off the shelf and check if it's in any scripts
And
that she
it
can read.
instantly crumbles to dust in your hand.
Oh. Then is there anything that looks a bit sturdier? Like, are there any tablets?
There's no tablets, it's all like parchment and books.
Then I will give up on that.
Are one of you going to get Raz so you can see if there's anything that his magic does to him?
He doesn't fit in the doorway. It's a goblin doorway.
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I said if you go right down your knees, you could crawl through, so...
Or he could just, tear it apart with his axe.
If he wants to spend the time doing that, sure. I don't think an axe is a good tool for that, though.
Well, he could
I
also
think
probably. He
The
could probably
goblin
just run
just added
through.
extra layers so Minotaurs wouldn't fit inside the building.
Yeah.
But he might just be able to run through the wall. It's all dilapidated, but then that might cause a collapse. So.
I think we should head back to others for now.
Yeah. Well, I guess nothing from camping on the inside. It will be much more comfortable sleeping here. Seems cozy and peaceful.
And full of magic that attacks us.
Well, only when we try to do something with it, but if you're just travelers passing through, I don't think anything would hurt us, right? You try to do something magical, and Shiki, he tried to poke through the mural.
True, but we'll see if the Minotaur wants to come in with us.
Right. Let's go then.
Shiki's gonna look around the library a bit more. He's going to try and see if he can find any other murals, any other, tablets. He'll look through a few of the books to see if any of them actually are still.
Yeah, just study the place, sure. Okay, so you guys come out to get Raz, and, the campfire's been set up, and currently Gruntuk is basically trying to convince Raz not to make camp here, because it's haunted.
Grintok, I can feel the spirits of the ancestors all around us.
Yeah, exactly, it's haunted. You don't want 100 ghost goblins trying to poison you in the middle of the night, do you?
Everyone knows a goblin can defeat a minotaur, let alone a dead one.
Yeah, well, what about the humies? They're not so tough. I mean, look at this one, and he points over at Noki.
He's been like that since he joined us.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the wrong thing looks at him and he'll be dead. He looks like he could have a heart attack any moment.
Isn't that normal for these what are they called? They're not warriors. Civilian? Yes, isn't that normal for these civilian humans?
I don't know. I'm just saying, if we have to drag all their bodies out of here, it's going to be real messy.
Why would we drag their bodies with us if they die?
To sell them, obviously.
I see.
And there's probably a bounty on that one that keeps himself all covered up all the time.
Should we? No, they already paid us. We can't do anything like that.
They already paid you. Why are we still here? Let's just go.
For more money, of course. More money means more food, and more
Are they-
food means more killing.
This is a question. Are they whispering this while I'm still out setting up camp?
Grin took his whispering, Ras isn't.
It probably started whispering, but it gradually got louder.
Okay, I'm just curious.
As the Minotaur just like gets, he doesn't care. He's just going to say it at loud volume normally, but the Goblin's going to get more and more frustrated and get louder and louder.
Well, I have enhanced hearing, so I was just like probably could hear them anyways. But I was just curious.
I've already been paid. I'm honor bound to finish the job, or let them die, or I die.
The Goblin just like waving his hand in the air. It's like, honor. That's why you cows will never get anywhere.
Yes, we must wait until the great ancestor awakens so we can.
Yeah,
retake
yeah,
this.
yeah. Moo, moo, moo.
I imagine that's about when
He's
The
very
two of us
confident
emerge.
that the Minotaur's not going to kill him.
Yeah. That's when the issue come out of the doorway.
the secret cow level.
Moo.
He's very confident that since he feeds the Minotaur, that he's not going to kill him.
Until the betrayal is like so obvious that anyone can point it out, he won't believe it.
Minotaur, there's something in there you might want to see.
What have you found a tiny tree creature?
It's a picture of Minotaurs.
Of course, everyone wishes to record our greatness.
And they're fighting dragons. I don't know if that means anything to you.
As soon as they say the word dragons, he just spits on the ground. Foul creatures. Worse than humans.
I don't know if you can fit, but it's in there if you want to see it. And she just sits down at the camp.
I guess I'll just try to make my way into the hall.
Sure, so you crawl through, and it takes you a little while because, there's a lot of stuff in the way, but you just kind of like shoulder barge and use your brute strength to push your way through until you get into the chamber. And Shiki is in there, desperately trying to find a book that won't just crumble in his hands or with the slightest vibration. He's now kind of like pushing some of the broken shelving out of the way to try and see if he can find more etchings on the wall.
Shiki doesn't even notice them coming in.
You just hear just feel strange vibrations and books start falling apart without you touching them.
Yeah, it just feels like the ground rumbling, the walls shaking, getting pushed about, and it's just like, these disruptions never cease. So much fascinating things to learn here.
So what'd you do, Raz, when you come in here?
I'll just go look for the mural that Jam mentioned.
Yeah, so there's a mural at the far end of the wall. Like I said, there's a dragon leading an army of minotaurs against what looks like an army of dragons. And as you know, your people do not like dragons for various reasons. Some of those have probably been lost to time. But I mean, even here, when you're looking at it, you can easily see the resemblance between the creature that you just fought and the dragons depicted in this mural. I mean, it just seems so obvious to you looking at it right away.
What could this mean? Reach out and touch the mural to trace over one of the minotaurs.
Roll 2d6 for me. Okay, take a pain or a stress of your choice.
He'll freeze up for a moment like he's just seen something shocking.
You see this massive dragon sat atop a mountain overlooking a battlefield. And this dragon is black as coal, and spread out before it is your people at the height of their greatness. Hundreds of thousands of them as a massive herd prepared for battle. And on the other side, you can see what looks like a different world completely. You can see volcanoes and magma, lava spilling everywhere, great rifts of magic in the sky, and you can just see a towering red dragon over this massive army of smaller dragons who are in various stages of transformation. Like a mutated bunch of monstrous demonic dragons. And then you just hear the great cry of your people as they charge across the battlefield, and then you're brought back to this quiet room that you're standing in.
Shiggy will just pop his head round a corner and be like, "So what did you see?"
Something terrible and ancient. We trying to decide if he should leave this place or stay here longer.
Shiki will walk up to Raz. It says it was a great battle. For a mural like this to be written, your people must have been victorious. I'm going to say if it was a great victory, there could have been many, many casualties, but you can be proud that your ancestors won. Magic there is probably to make sure that either your people never forget, or a way to make sure nobody forgets.
It's
Like such strong magical protection on it.
It's a sign from the great ancestor. I must find the tribes, and it's finally time. He just gives himself a determined nod and just starts making his way back outside.
Dragging, leading an army of dragons.
So wait, if Shiki's from this continent too, how much does he know about what the Minotaurs have been supposedly waiting for?
Not a lot. We talked about this before. They don't talk to humans in any kind of detail about stuff. So anything humans know about them is going to be, cursory at best, observational.
They may have heard mention of like we're waiting for the moo time, and it's like, what the hell's a moo time? Kind of thing. Well, that's.
I mean, you might know that they're like waiting for something, but a lot of religions and cultures are waiting for like something, Judgment Day, the return of a god, something like that.
Exactly. It's like nothing specific.
And it might even be something that they've adopted from another culture that they've been around. And then we'll do the camping stuff next time because that's tonight's one.
Sounds good.
I feel like I got one good roll that I'm final taking.
There was a lot of bad rolls that time, but that's because last time it was all 60s.
Yeah, last time I think we had 2 fails the entire session. This time it's 1, 2,
There's
Three.
mixes, there's a bunch of 60s up here, but there's a lot of fails, yeah.
4.
I didn't fail any
5.
this time.
Yeah, I don't think you even rolled yeah, you rolled like 1 7 plus, and everything else was like 10 plus. Raz was rolling hot.
It's also because I think I've only been doing things that I would have advantage in.
Even when you had advantage attacking the big thing,
You were rolling like 2
rolled
6s and a
5,
4.
5. Yeah.
Or 6 6 4, and it's like, yeah, he didn't need it. But yeah.
Let's get the XP. Yeah, so 1 XP for everyone to begin with. Did anyone do a drive?
Yep, I did too, but I only got 1 XP for it.
I ate exotic food.
Did you?
I ate a pomegranate.
Oh, yeah, I suppose. No, they're not exotic. I suppose they are because they're from a different place.
And I'm gonna add a new drive to unite the tribes for the Moo time.
It just touches on his like pragmatic. It is time. No pomp and ceremony associated with it.
Just, it's time.
He just walks into a tribe and just says it's the Moo time.
They'll just get up and go with them. Anyone else to drive now?
Don't think so.
Okay, 1 XP for overcoming a notable enemy or task. Do we think?
We cleanse the corruption in the forest.
Yeah, do we think the demon was a notable enemy? Is it lesser demon?
I don't think the demon was notable, but cleansing the forest and like stopping a demonic incursion and closing the portal.
Haven't
Probably
cleansed
a
it though.
notable
You
task.
just stopped it getting worse.
Yeah, we stopped it getting worse. Which
Is
I
it-
think it's notable just because he realized that it was some sort of demonic corrupted dragon. Right? You know, he said he recognized like the similarities between the two.
Yeah, because he thinks demon creatures and dragons are similar. We don't have a consensus, so I'm going to say no on that one. You just learn something new about one of your characters or the world.
Well, we learned something new about the world.
Yeah, about the ancient Minotaur Dragon Abomination War.
Okay, so that's for everyone. And then if someone wants to nominate someone for something awesome.
I think the only cool thing that happened was that he flipped it into the portal.
yeah, him flipping the portal was fun.
I think the teleporting and stabbing the guy at the start. I know, like,
Yeah,
Shadow
the bandit fight.
Yeah,
Lots
the
of
bandit
stuff in the
fight.
bandit fight.
He did like 3 of them.
I know.
Yeah, the shadow step stab, and also I think like both Shaky and in fact no, sorry, bandit fight again. Fee exploding the guy's heart with a punch.
Yeah,
And
that was
then-
pretty awesome.
Shaky
Yeah.
freezing the demon, and Raz like cleaving its head in half.
I quite like the interaction between Jam and the elf after the centipede got killed. Just the whole "you can't trust the humans" thing.
Yeah,
I do kind of.
why would you
I
trust
think
humans,
that-
man?
I mean, like, the humans have helped us so far.
Yeah,
Some of them, it's,
but I'm just saying in general, why would you trust humans?
yeah.
but then you played into the whole like trepidation of whether you should tell them everything or not trust them like he said to.
Like, not telling the party about it doesn't hurt her at the moment.
No. I think he nominated everyone once there, right?
Yeah, I think everybody got
everyone
nominated.
there.
Okay, so everyone's going to get one for that one. And then that'll be us for this week.
What
Alright.
is how much do we need to level up to level 2? Did you
7.
change experience?
7 plus double your level. What is what the
But I thought
packet still says.
Yeah.
I thought it got
Would be
changed after
9.
we don't get a failure experience anymore.
Oh yeah, because we're not getting failure experience anymore. It's gonna be very slow leveling.
I mean, I don't know. I'm almost to a level. I mean, yeah, it's going to be session 3 before I get it, but
So for level 2, we would need 9 experience. Or...
yeah.
Yeah, I need 9. I'm at 8
Yeah, that
currently.
sounds right. Yeah, let's stick with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna see you next week.
Yep.
See you next week, Phil.
Yeah.
See ya.
Alright.
Cheers.
Let's save this file.
Yeah, make sure,
yeah.
make sure your stuff's saving. You can stick it in the G drive if you want, or just save it in Discord if you want to back up somewhere.
I forgot to upload it last time, so I'll do that again.
Alright, well, I'm out. I'm back to playing Final Fantasy.
I'll head off to
Yep.
I'll
Okay,
see
guys,
you all
later.
later.
see you.